Minecraft just released a new update called Armored Paws. Hello there, Ray here. Let's take a look at all the important stuff with this update. But before you update to 1.20.5, make sure to watch this video on all the rares you should collect that will become impossible to get once updated. And if you're updating from an older 1.20 version, there's even more rares you can get before the new version. The biggest thing coming to 1.20.5 Java Edition and a similar version of Bedrock Edition is the 9 types of dogs. Now this one here is the normal one that we had before, but then there is 8 of these new variations. And you can find these naturally through a wide variety of biomes. The default wolf type, known as Pale, can be found in Taiga biome. The woods wolf can be found in forest biomes. The rusty bear is found in sparse jungles. The spotted is found in savanna plateaus. The ashen type is found here in the snowy taiga. The black one's found here in the old pine growth, where the old growth spruce taiga produces the chestnut ones. The striped ones, which I think are the coolest, are found here in the wooded badlands. The rarest type is found here in the groves, being the snowy one. And after taming every single type of dog, you'll get the challenge advancement called the Whole Pack 9 out of 9. Dogs are tame now have twice as much health as before, and they also take half as much damage from anything that is environmental. And when you feed them, food will now heal twice as much. Healing your dog will no longer make them automatically sit down, they'll eat first, then sit down when they're full. Your pets will no longer get buggy and break their leads and teleport to you when reloading chunks. We also have a brand new mob called the Armadillo, which is the winner of the 2023 mob vote, meaning that we got 2 different mobs with 2 different mob votes, all in the 1.20 updates. They can be found here in the savanna biomes, including savanna plateaus, and in the 3 types of badland biomes. Armadillos can roll up in a ball. They'll do this when they're scared, either from the player sprinting near them, or if there's an undead mob nearby, and only when the threat's far away will they unroll. They'll also do this if you're riding anything, and while it's in its shell, less damage can be done to it. And just like cats can scare creepers, armadillos will scare away spiders, but only when they're not rolled up. This is because armadillos like spider eyes, and this is used to breed them. When using one on either of them, this will produce a baby armadillo. Look how cute these things are. And this can be used to increase the speed of baby's growth. Using a brush on an armadillo will get you a new item called Armadillo Scute, and a new advancement, Isn't It Scute? These scutes will also naturally just fall off of them every so often. So if you just put a hopper underneath them, you can farm up unlimited amounts. This can be sped up by using a dispenser full of brushes, and this will produce tons of scutes, but it will use durability. The scutes can be put into a crafting grid like an H shape, and that can produce another new item called wolf armor. And you can put this on your wolf just by holding it and right clicking. The armor is really useful because any damage done to the dog, it doesn't actually hurt the dog, but instead it starts hurting the durability on the dog armor, which is similar to player armor, and it only has 64 durability. This protects the dog from most types of damages except for drowning, freezing, suffocating, magic attacks like potions, thorns, wither effect, entity cramming, and the warden sonic charge. So as it takes more durability, you can see the armor starts having some cracks, and eventually it will break completely after it's heavily damaged, and then only at that point will the dog start taking damage. Notice it still has a nice and high tail, but then now the tail starts going downwards, which means the dog can be dropped from an infinite height, and upon hitting the ground it won't actually take any damage except it will break its armor off. And you can repair its armor just by using a scute on it, which will get you the advancement Good as New. You can remove your dog's armor by using shears on it, which will get you another new advancement, Sheer Brilliance. And just like you can put dye onto leather armor for the player, you can also put dye onto the dog's armor, with millions of possible color combinations. So you can have a unique dog with a colored collar or colored armor. And like dyed leather, you can also remove the dye from dog armor by using it on a cauldron with water. If your dog would die, it will drop it as an item. The next big change in 1.20.5 is the nerf of spawn chunks. Before, spawn chunks were this really big area out here, including inside, and then they got shrunken down, so by default, as well as any worlds that do update, will get these smaller spawn chunks, having 98% less entity processing chunks than before. So this will also help out servers, so by default they don't have to have so many chunks being loaded in their world. But you can set your spawn chunks back to the way they were before. By default they're going to be 2, but if you want them like they were before, set it to 10. I covered tons of different things that will change because of this, and I put it all in this video here, which will answer all your questions related to how chunks works, render distance, simulation distance, mobs spawning around players, as well as random ticked areas, and how you can still artificially load chunks without a player using these new chunk loaders. So check out that video after watching this one, which I'll put in the description. And look forward to an upcoming video where I show you guys all the different farms that can run in chunks without a player. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. And with 1.20.5, we once again can automatically chunk load the end dimension, which is something I originally discovered way back when, but has been removed for several versions now. But now that it's back, it opens up the opportunity to do a lot of things. The area in which it loads is very similar to spawn chunks, and I did a whole video on all the new farms and machines which you can now run automatically without having the player here, such as like using my sand generator, without having to worry about a bunch of sand piling up and crashing your world. I'll put that video in the description so you can check it out after this one and learn more about it. The next big change is to hopper performance. When a hopper doesn't have anything above it, it's constantly checking to see if there's any items that happen to fall from above that it'll try to pick up. And because it's constantly checking, this could lower your performance, especially if you have a whole bunch of hoppers. Now, in the past, we combated this by putting something on top that was a container that the hopper would then check to see if it could pull something out of the container, and because it's doing this, it's no longer checking to see if any items are directly above it. Notice it can't pick up this item until we remove the container on top. This worked for a wide variety of containers, and one of the best ones was a composter because it wasn't a tile entity like most of them. But we got further improvement with 1.20.5, where now any full cubed block that is on top of a hopper will stop it from checking. So if this item would be within the 1 meter range which hopper checks, notice that it doesn't actually get picked up by the hopper even if it's close enough. But if the block is removed, now it can pick it up and we can see it inside. But if there is an item that is in the lower part of the hopper, even though it has a full block above it, when the power is removed, you can see it will pull in those items. So any items that kind of clip inside of the hopper will get absorbed by it. It's just not checking for ones above. So just by putting some dirt above the hopper, we'll do the exact same thing as before using these containers. Now there is some exceptions, something like soul sand, even though it appears to be a full cube, when you stand on top of it, you sink in a little bit. So any items that land on top of that can still be pulled by the hopper below. They also made the exception for these full cubes, which are the bee nest and the beehive. Otherwise, if they didn't do this, these type of farms would have to be changed. But once again, if you see once I harvest it, the item did get pulled directly into the bottom here, and the same thing for this one here. So my productive bee farm that also is a crop farm, as well as my tileable version of the honey farms, will continue to work just as they are. They also applied more optimizations to the world and came out with more options when it comes to the F3 screen. You can look at particular lag coming from the TPS, which is affected by the computer running your game, or the server, versus your FPS, which is only affected by how well your graphics can render what's around you. And the lag that used to come when generating loot in shipwrecks that had buried treasure no longer creates a whole bunch of lag trying to figure out where this map will actually send you. Before you could place liquid onto blocks even though you couldn't technically reach them, like 3 blocks down into this hole. But now you can only place in water if you can actually reach the far block. So now you have to crouch in order to reach the far block, but once the liquid is there, you can then pick it up without crouching because it's closer to you. Fire-res has become more useful when going into lava. The distance in which you can see has been increased to match that of the Bedrock Edition. Mobs with enchanted armor will no longer have their armor glitter prior to you actually seeing them. You can't use it as a sneaky way to see someone. Helmets on the player will once again reduce the damage from things like stalactites and anvils by 1/4 like they used to back in 1.18. Talkers will no longer be able to break armor stands when their bullets hit them, just like it was before 1.20.2. And Llama Spit will no longer break armor stands, but go right through it. For the last couple of years, you could activate Drip Leaf by touching it from the side, as well as get damage by being pushed into a block like this with fire above. But you won't have to worry about that anymore. When it comes to enchanting tables, it's supposed to be possible to also get Bane of Arthropods, Smite, as well as Sharpness onto axes while using enchanting tables, rather than only getting this while using anvils. And there's also supposed to be a chance of getting thorns onto armor pieces through enchanting tables. But out of all the testing I've done, I haven't seen any changes for either of them. Now you can still access the experimental features like bundles, villager trading rebalance, and update 1.21 features. But these are not going to be forced on you, and you have to manually turn these on. if you would turn on the villager trade rebalance, you'd get the different nerfs to villagers, where you'd have to go to special biomes to get special villagers that sell different stuff. If you turned on the 1.21 features, that includes everything related to the trial chambers, like the breeze, the mace, the new potions, new armor trims, banner patterns, pottery shards, bogged mob, auto crafters, and the ominous potions, which changes up raid farms. So look forward to my new raid farm. I'll go into more detail about 1.21 when the full release comes out, which will be around June of this year. Now help this video by clicking the like button, and if you enjoy what I do, join me as a supporter. You not only get your name at the end of the videos, but tons of other perks. You can see them all by clicking the join button, otherwise share this video. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye!